It's time for the most exciting and unpredictable tournament in wrestling as we bring you the 5th annual Strong Style Roulette. It's also the first time that we've ever ran our brand new touring schedule with the hopes that we can increase in popularity faster than ever, whilst hopefully making some extra cash while we do so. Not only that, but get ready to see our highest ever rated match out of nowhere as two of the promotion's top talent catch everyone off guard with a true wrestling classic. And if you haven't already, make sure you drop a like down below and help us get to 400 likes to unlock the next episode. Oh, and sorry for the delay this time around. And head over to Patreon where you can gain access to multiple save points from the series, including where we start off today, and purchase TEW IX for yourself using the banner at the top of TEWDB.com if you haven't already. Okay, so for today's Strong Style Showdown, we've currently got part of the field filled out, but we do have more signings to make in order to complete the first ever 16-person field for a Strong Style Roulette, with it normally being 8. So far, we've got Killer Kelly signed, Mayu Iwatani, Jordan Grace, Miranda Elise, Janai Kai, Trish Adora, Miyu Yamashita, which is how you pronounce it apparently, Thunder Rosa, as well as Erica Lee, who we offered a contract to last time around, as well as Xena. So they're the names confirmed so far, which leaves us with 6 spaces left to fill, ready for the Strong Style Roulette Tour, which will start on the 16th of January. And we're still on the 1st of January as we stand. So I do actually know who we're going to be bringing in. So let's get to it. And the first person that we're going to be looking at is actually Nixon Newell, who is somebody that is no longer with WWE in the save, although I believe she was at the start, as you can see there. And she's asking for $600 per show. And we're actually going to put together a touring contract template while we're here, and that will speed things up going forward. So let's put the price down to $500. We're going to set appearances until the tour ends, and we're going to make it a 9-month deal, although it will end obviously before that, and it will be whenever the last show of the tour is. We're going to keep merchandise where it is. Actually, we're going to drop it down to 0 for the template, and then we can renegotiate whenever we speak to somebody. For travel, it's not going to be needed for Nixon Newell, and because she's in the southeast, and we're going to save this template here as touring contract. Let's save that, and we're going to up the merchandise back up to 20 and make this offer then. And actually, if you remember, I think it was TEW 2016, if you've been a long-time subscriber of the channel, Nixon Newell was actually on our roster back then in a local to global, which I think was my first series on this channel, if not second series, as I did originally have another channel where I made TEW content, but for Curb Stomp City, I think it was the first. And we didn't get that far, but Nixon Newell was a part of that series, and this was, what, 9-10 years ago now? But yeah, we're going to be seeing her back on the channel then for this upcoming tour. And the next person that we're going to be bringing in is another former WWE name. This time it's going to be Natalia, who's going to come in as one of the veterans of the tournament alongside Thunder Rosa. So let's get her signed up. And she left WWE in the save actually quite a while ago now, in September 2027, and she's worked for DDT, Deadlock and MLW during her time in the save. And actually, we've actually got a response from AJ Mendez, and she thinks bringing in Natalia is a terrible idea. So I think we're going to avoid that one then, and we're going to try and find somebody else. And I don't want to create any backstage issues. So yeah, we're going to leave Natalia for now, and we're going to move on to the next name on the list, and that is Masha Slamovich, who currently works for WXW and GCW in the save. And she's pretty solid actually. She's got really good brawling and solid fundamentals across the board, and is pretty popular as well in the United States. So let's bring her in and let's apply the touring contract template and go from there. So we're going to offer 900 instead of 1,000, and she does want travel expenses with her being in the tri-state, and she also wants 960 for pay, and she wants a higher cut of merchandise as well. So we'll go up to 10%. How about 20? How about 25? And that's good enough. So we're going to make that offer then. So that's 2 names currently coming in. And we're also going to bring in Kenzie Page, who we've actually looked at recently before, and she is the sister of Kylie Alexa, who is one of the originals of the roster, and she's also the reigning TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champion as well. But yeah, we're going to be bringing her in and potentially on the tour as well. We might try out the tag team of the two sisters as well, and we'll see how that goes. But let's offer a touring contract, and we're going to try and get her price down to 1,000, and she will need travel because she's in Puerto Rico, and we'll go from there. So she wants 1,030, and she also wants a cut of merch. So we'll start at 10%. Let's try 20. 25, and that's enough. So we'll make that offer then. And speaking of Kylie Alexa, she's another person that's going to be returning for the tour. And as I say, we will be trying her out with her sister as a tag team at some point as well, if they do happen to be knocked out at the same time. And it looks like we're going to have to get rid of this filter to be able to find the next two people on the list. So as I say, Kylie Alexa will be coming in for the tour, and she's somebody that's actually quite cheap in the save. She's only $100 at this point, and currently unemployed as well. So hopefully there's no issues with sort of ring rust, but we'll see. But yeah, let's just offer her the 100 that she's asking for, and she does want a cut of merch, so we'll start with 5%. How about 10? And there's the offer made then. And lastly, at least on the list so far, we've got Alex Gracia, who has wrestled for us before when she was the Reality of Wrestling Women's Champion, and she was, I believe, in the first Women's Champion of Champions match against Killer Kelly. And yeah, you can see here, she fought Killer Kelly as the Reality of Wrestling Champion against Killer Kelly, and I think that's her only match with us, and we'll be bringing her back in for another one for this roulette. So we're not going to have to offer her travel because she is local to the Mid-South, and she's only going to be $210, so we'll give her what she's asking for initially, and we'll give her 10% of merchandise as well. And apparently that's not quite enough though, so we'll up it to 15, and that's a good enough offer. Since Natty Neidhart, as we would have known her if she'd signed with the company, didn't want to join us, we're going to have to find somebody else. Now, one option would be somebody that's already on the roster, so somebody that's currently in a tag team feud, so one of the Renegade twins, or Hyan and Nicole Matthews are two other options as well. So of course they're feuding over these women's tag team championships, with Nicole Matthews and Hyan being the current holders. Now, what I'm probably going to do actually is put Nicole Matthews in a match, and that might give us an excuse to have some sort of interference from the Renegade twins to further that storyline. So that sets us up nicely then for the upcoming tour, and we also have Epidemius Jr. set to sign as well on a touring contract, as well as Turbo Floyd of the Outrunners. So let's skip forward then and get these deals signed. So we're now in the future then, and we've actually got quite a few to sign today. So we've got Xena, Erica Lee, Epidemius Jr., Turbo Floyd, Masha Slamovich, Kylie Alexa, and Alex Gracia all confirmed to sign. So we're going to complete all worker signings, and I'm going to go in after and sort out the alignment. I'll probably do that off camera, because in the last episode we didn't have shows, so I don't want to do too much admin today. And now we just await on Nixon Newell and Kenzie Page then. So let's skip forward even further and get those deals done. And there we have it then. Nixon Newell and Kenzie Page have agreed their contracts as well. So interestingly, we actually do have two current TNA champions, despite them being bitter rivals of us in the save after they poached Mike DiVecchio. As we've got Erica Lee, who is the Knockouts champion, as you can see here. And also we've got Kenzie Page, who, as we just saw, is one half of the Knockouts tag team champions. But let's just double check that everybody's going to be available for the upcoming tour. So for night 1 and night 2, Mayu Iwatani actually might be at Gan Pro, and Erica Lee might be at AEW on the Wednesday. So if Mayu Iwatani isn't available, which would be a massive shame because she's one of our biggest stars, then we might have to swap in maybe one of the Renegade twins. And Erica Lee and Kenzie Page aren't available for the Wednesday night. And I'm sure I checked and I didn't see anything for Kenzie on the schedule. Maybe that's been added in since. But yeah, there is actually a way to make sure everybody gets on the show without having anybody be forced to be eliminated. So we could split the first round over the first 2 shows and have Iwatani's match on the Wednesday and Erica Lee and Kenzie Page's match on the Tuesday, depending on how the draw goes. But we're going to have to kind of play it by ear. But with that said, I don't think there's too much else to do. So we can basically just go forward to our upcoming episode of Propaganda, which we've hyped up the debut of Lavaniel. So we are on the day of the show then, and the contract of Miyu Yamashita is actually set to expire pretty soon. And I think we're just going to let that one run out for now, and we will reconsider bringing her in on a tour-by-tour basis, as we discussed in the last episode, which is how we're going to sort of rotate and keep the roster fresh, as there's no real room for her right now at the top of the women's card. Of course, with Mayu Iwatani right up there, Killer Kelly as well, Jordan Grace, of course, making an impact recently as well. And I think if she was to stick around, she'd just be constantly losing, or at least wouldn't be getting that sort of big push that I think she would deserve with her skills. So yeah, as I say, we'll sort of judge that as we go forward, as we will be with many of the talents going forward, as we sort of embrace this new touring schedule that we've established. Now we need to pick a building, and apparently, actually, the expected attendance is much less than it was last time around. So last time we had 193 people in the building, and this time we're expecting 114 fans, and I'm not entirely sure why that would be. But nonetheless, we will be running the GPB studios to host this event. So let's do that and hope that this drop in attendance doesn't carry over to the main Strong Style shows, but we'll see. But let's do that then. And for broadcasters, let's use all 5 now, including our new YouTube channel, which has very small reach compared to the tiny that we normally have. And we will also be airing on YouTube. So YouTube and the Strong Style America's YouTube channel. Yeah, you make sense of that. But let's use this selection. And for booking team, I think we might just store the points unless we're going to cap out next time around. We have generated 182. So yeah, it looks like we would actually hit the 250 cap. So let's spend some creative energy then and grab some creative finishes that we probably won't use tonight, but we can use in the future. And this one's a big gamble for Alex Kane. So yeah, we're going to discard that one. And we've got one that's a safe bet for anybody, so we'll keep that in the stored creative ideas. And let's grab a angle idea as well. And this one's likely to succeed for anyone. And we'll grab one more, and this one's a near certainty for anybody. So yeah, a successful booking meeting there. And let's go to locker room incidents then, where Lavanuel and Jordan Grace apparently butted heads and are furious with each other. Jordan Grace has a prickly personality and Lavanuel is professional. So maybe that's Jordan Grace's personality type setting that off, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we'll have to do a medal between the two, but we'll see. And Tyler Bate and Egil Blanc had a blazing argument outside the venue. And maybe we should have been given some people the night off. Tyler Bate has a sleazy personality, so he's probably at fault there. Dave Prazak and Myung Jae Lee really helped create a fun and relaxed atmosphere after the 2 negative backstage incidents. So that's good to see a sort of counterbalance to them. And let's address the locker room then and do some meddling between 2 members of the roster. And I'm going to try and get Jordan Grace and Lavanuel back on side with each other. So let's do a positive medal between the 2 and we'll see how that goes. It does say it's unlikely to make a difference, but it's worth a try anyway. But with that said, let's book the show. So let's run down the card then. We've got 5 matches tonight. One of those is a dark match, and that dark match will see Miyu Yamashita take on Linda Bernard, who will be making her Strong Style debut. Now, Linda is a regen in the game and spawned in June 2027, and we needed a technical masterclass, and she's got 82 technical ability, and she's even higher in Puro with 83. She's not great fundamentally, she's got decent charisma and microphone skills, and she doesn't have great psychology either, but I think she might be somebody for the long-term future in terms of somebody that could really develop in this save. However, she hasn't had a ton of matches throughout her career, and her last match happened in August 2028, and yeah, she's had 4 matches so far. And tonight we're going to put her in a technical masterclass, which is a requirement for our show, and see how she gets on. Now, I'm not expecting amazing ratings from her. If we take a look at her last match against Vita Von Star, she got a 15. So yeah, not great, but I think Miyu should be able to get her to a decent rating, at least for a dark match. And yeah, maybe we can see her in the long-term future, as I say. And then we're going to open up the broadcast with Lavanuel's debut, as he's going to be taking on Cameron Cole. And Cameron Cole is here on a local workers deal. And then we're going to go into 6-man tag action as Myung Jae Lee, Jackson Drake and Egil Blanc will team up to take on Joseph Finnick Jr., Adam Priest and Schaff. And then Bojack will take on Wolfgang, who is also here on a one-night deal. Of course, he is known for his work in ICW in Scotland, as well as in NXT UK and now NXT. And in the main event, we're going to see Jordynne Grace take on Santana Garrett, who is another local worker that we're bringing in to lose tonight. And yeah, we're going to feature Jordynne Grace as tonight's megastar in the main event. But other than that, we do have some booking analysis, as Wolfgang and Cameron Cole are unhappy with the result of their matches tonight, but they don't actually work for us, or if they're unhappy, it's not the end of the world. And hopefully it gets Bojack and Lavagnuel up to a point where they're over with the audience, because I believe they're both currently classed as unimportant. So if we reset the filter, you can see here Bojack is unimportant and so is Lavagnuel, with Lavagnuel's popularity actually being 10 now, whilst Bojack's is 13. And we start off then with Miyu Yamashita defeating Linda Bernard in 14 minutes 47 with a Brazilian kick. Of course, this being a technical masterclass, and I think this is Miyu's first win in the company. And yeah, actually not a bad rating here with 52. Miyu got a 64 whilst Linda got a 20, so better than her last match at least. And the performance of Miyu stood out as being good, but Linda Bernard was rusty as we expected. But let's move on then to the main broadcast, as Lavagnuel has defeated Cameron Cole in 10 minutes 28 by pinfall with a Golden Galaxy. This after interference from AJ Mendez. So yeah, we are continuing for now the pairing of Lavagnuel and AJ Mendez. This might not be a long-term thing, but there's no bad chemistry at least, and AJ does give him a boost for good work at ringside. And overall though, a solid match with a 44, Lavagnuel there with a 43, so a decent performance from him, with Cameron Cole getting a 31. So the less popular Lavagnuel getting a win over Cameron Cole tonight, and hopefully a win over a more popular wrestler in the region can help Lavagnuel's popularity going forward. And yeah, we've got quite a few greens here for commentary, which definitely helps. And yeah, it's a decent match to open the show, as we move on then to that 6-man tag match, as the baby faces Myung Jae Lee, Jackson Drake and Aigle Blanc have defeated Joseph Finette Jr., Adam Priest and Schaff in 11 minutes 19, when Jackson Drake pinned Adam Priest with a surprise roll-up. So a surprise win for, I believe, the person that's the least popular in the match, Jackson Drake, over Adam Priest, who's now of course here as a heel. And yeah, with a surprise roll-up, we're protecting Priest here a little bit, whilst also protecting Finette Jr. and Schaff with them not taking the fall. And yeah, hopefully this helps Jackson Drake going forward, as I say, popularity-wise. But in terms of performances, Jackson Drake was the lowest with a 46. We had a 49 for Myung Jae Lee, Adam Priest and Joseph Finette Jr., with Aigle Blanc getting a 52, and the man of the match was Schaff with a 59. And yeah, just a good showcase here of some of the lower talent on the roster, which of course is the aim of this show. And overall though, a 55 match, which is pretty good. As we move on then to Bojack's win over Wolfgang, which got a 53, and actually Bojack is right up there with Wolfgang with a 46, with Wolfgang getting a 48, so he's 2 points ahead. And yeah, again, Bojack with a win over somebody more popular in the region. Hopefully this helps him going forward. And I'm not sure whether Wolfgang and Cameron Cole will want to work with us again on a local workers deal, with them losing to two basically unknowns in the area. But hopefully we can establish everybody on the roster to not be unimportant anymore, so that won't be an issue. But let's go to the main event then, where Jordynne Grace has defeated Santana Garrett in 9 minutes 47 by pinfall with a fall from Grace. And overall, it's got a 68, with Jordynne Grace putting the rating right up there with a 70 performance for herself, and Garrett got a decent performance there of 42. And apparently Jordynne Grace is getting better at her gimmick as well, so a good rep for her tonight. And a good win heading into the strong style roulette, where I would say she's the favourite at this point. But of course, we'll see how that plays out in this episode. But overall, we did increase our popularity in 24 regions with a 66 overall rating in front of 113 people. Now, this might be because we're running too many events in 1 month again. And if that is the case, we'll change the lesser shows, which will be night 1, night 2 and night 3, to touring rather than lesser shows, which should fix any potential attendance issues that we have going forward. But we'll see how this tour goes and then we'll go from there. But let's address the locker room then, heading out of the show, and we're going to praise Jordynne Grace, and we're also going to praise Lavagnuel as well, because they were both in a negative incident at the start of the show, and we're going to tell them both that they're awesome, and hopefully they get a small morale boost. And we're also going to praise somebody that was on the losing end today, and maybe Adam Priest, and we'll tell him that he's awesome too. So let's go through with that. And Jordan Gray seemed pleased, Levaniel seemed pleased, and Adam Priest seemed pleased. So no morale boosts, but that's okay. And overall, we actually lost $9,336 tonight. Of course, with us being in the Southeast, we didn't have a good attendance, we didn't have good ticket sales, and we didn't have good merchandise. But in the grand scheme of things for the month, that won't make too much difference. But let's go to the popularity recap then and see how we got on there. And we did increase in the Southeast and the Southwest, which we need to go up, of course, to 35, ready to get to the next size. And the Mid-South also went up as well. So the Mid-South went up to 53, Southeast went to 26, and the Southwest went to 28. The Northwest went to 14, and the Midwest went to 23, and Ontario, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba went to 10 in Canada, and the Tri-State also went to 10 as well. So some good progress there on a show that wasn't necessarily mind-blowing, but still progress nonetheless. But let's continue. But as I was saying, for the attendance, there might be a chance that we're running too many shows in a month again. So the game is starting to treat those as TV shows rather than big events, which might be why we had a drop in attendance there for propaganda. And if that is the case, what we can either do is just take the hit and know that we're going to still make a profit thanks to CM Punk's merchandise money, or we can go and make this a tour show instead of lesser, which would mean we can't broadcast it live, and we would have to instead get a broadcast deal for touring highlights, which if we go to, for example, our YouTube channel and go to negotiate, if we did have touring shows, we would have an option somewhere on this screen to do that. So yeah, that's a potential option. But for now, we're just going to continue on with the month and see how we get on. Treat this very much as an experiment. And we'll see if we do have a hit for attendance, how much it is by, and whether it's worth just keeping the schedule as it is. With that said, we won't know until the Strong Style Roulette show at the end of the month, because that's a normal show rather than a lesser, and we'll be able to directly compare it to past shows. And speaking of the Strong Style Roulette Tour, it will start in 6 days' time, and I don't believe there's anything else that we need to do unless somebody tries to poach one of our talents or something like that. So I'm going to skip forward to the day of the show, and then we'll, of course, go to the wheel. Right, so we've gone straight into the show, and the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that Mayu Iwatani is here tonight, and if she's not, that means we're going to stagger the 8 first round matches over the next 2 shows, and if she's here, we're probably going to run all 8 tonight and make it a 2-hour show. So let's take a look at the Give the Night Off screen and find out if she's here. And she isn't. Okay, so that means that we will have to hold 4 matches tonight and then 4 matches on Wednesday night, and hope that Mayu doesn't draw against Erica Lee or Kenzie Page, or we might have some serious issues tomorrow night. But we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how it goes. And we're going to get everybody in the building tonight, although it's probably only the women's division that's going to actually appear, but we'll see for dark matches and stuff like that. And for attendance then, we're expecting 1,659 fans here tonight, which isn't too bad considering it's a lesser show, although it is a significant drop from the 5,000 that we had last time we were in the area. But hopefully we can match that 5,000 with the Strong Style Roulette show itself. But let's take a look at the venues that we're going to be able to use then and set a parameter of 1 to 2,000 for the venues and take a look at what's available. And I was hoping Emo's would be there, and it is, as I couldn't remember its attendance, but yeah, it's actually pretty much perfect for what we need, with it being 1,700 capacity, and that's near enough what we're looking for tonight. So we will be returning home to Emo's tonight. So let's select this venue and go forward then, and of course we're going to be using all of our broadcasters. For booking team meeting, let's spend some creative energy and grab a creative finish. This one's a safe bet for Ryan Davidson. Let's grab another, and this one's a safe bet for Alex Kane. They probably won't be used tonight, but they'll be useful in the future. And let's grab a character idea as well. And this one's a safe bet for Janai Kai, so we'll apply that to her after this. And let's go forward then to Locker Room Incidents, where Emi Sakura has been training with Kylie Alexa, which is good to see. And she's also been training with Epidemius Jr. And Shun Skywalker had some heat with Morale Officer Aubrey Edwards. Now, I believe in the past, and I've been reminded about this in the comments, that we had problems with the morale officer earlier on in the series. And yeah, it looks like that's happening once again. So we're going to have to take Aubrey Edwards off Morale Officer, I think, although it will make her unhappy. But yeah, we'll have to keep that in mind going forward, and it's probably something we're going to eventually do. Ryan Davidson did brighten the mood backstage, though, with some cartoon drawings. And Nixon Newell was in a delightful mood and brought some great positive vibes to the locker room as well. And Turbo Floyd came to you backstage with an idea for a creative finish, and this was automatically added to your creative ideas, so we'll take a look at that as well. And as for pre-match then, let's do an open forum, potentially, as there are some complaints in the locker room recently and it might sort of cool some tensions, so let's see how we get on. And Emi Sakura was irritated and aired her issues and got a small morale boost, so that's good to see. The same for Alex Kane, the same for Tyler Bates, and that's all for that. And that will have a lingering negative on the backstage overall for a little while, but in terms of individual morale it has helped, and we're still at excellent locker room morale anyway, so yeah, I would say that's a positive overall. And as for the creative ideas then, we've got one for Janai Kai, so let's see how that goes. And it was a success apparently, and she's happy and white hot right now. And let's also check Turbo Floyd's creative idea that he came up with. So let's go to booking team, stored creative ideas, and Turbo Floyd creative finish is extremely risky and is probably never going to be used, so we're going to delete it. And with that said then, let's get to the wheel and find out who will be going up against each other in the first round of the Strong Style Roulette. Right, so here is the wheel then, and we've got 15 participants on there, and of course this is excluding Killer Kelly. So what we're going to do, as always, is draw one by one, and the first person that we draw will take on the second person that we draw, the third person that we draw will take on the fourth person that we draw, etc, etc. And whoever's left on the wheel at the end will take on Killer Kelly in a championship match in the first round. And of course, there is a championship match in every round of the Strong Style Roulette. So if Killer Kelly were to lose, the new champion would move on to the next round as champion and defend their championship in the quarter-final. So theoretically, the championship could change hands in the first round, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the finals, depending on the results. So it's going to be very interesting, and it's very unpredictable, as not even I know how these matches are going to play out, because I don't know who's going to draw who. So let's get into it then, and find out who the first name on the board will be. And it's actually going to be Miyu Yamashita going into the first match. So let's remove her from the wheel and move on to the next pick. And we'll see who it lands on next. And it's actually going to be Kylie Alexa. So I would say Alexa's going in there as the underdog against the much more experienced Yamashita from Japan, of course, and a multi-time champion. And speaking of multi-time champions across the world, we have Mayu Iwatani up next, who should be competing tomorrow night, as long as she doesn't draw against Erica Lee or Kenzie Page. And it's actually going to be a debuting Nixon Newell. Now, it nearly crept over there to Thunder Rosa, but it just about landed on Newell. So that'll be a good match in the first round. And next up, we'll see the debuting Masha Slamovich, who has made a name for herself on the independent scene in real life over the last few years. And she will be taking on somebody from our own roster, and that will be Nicole Matthews. So another interesting matchup there. And with the Renegade Twins lurking over Nicole Matthews, it might be a win for Masha there. And next up will be Jordan Grace. So she won't be getting her hands on Killer Kelly just yet in a championship match. And it will be one of the women remaining on the wheel that will get that title match for this round. But Jordan will be taking on, looks like, a debuting Xena. So bad luck for her, as the young up-and-comer is taking on the favourite, the juggernaut in this tournament, and somebody that everybody will be trying to stop if they want to leave as champion. And next up, speaking of champions, is former Strong Style Women's Champion Miranda Alize, and she will be taking on potentially somebody she's never fought before, at least in our company. And there's some familiar names on the wheel as well. But she will be taking on reigning Knockouts champion Erica Lee. So that'll be a good match. And let's find out who's up next then. And yeah, it's a pretty stacked field so far, and some interesting matchups. And next up, it's Janai Kai. Again, another former Strong Style Women's Champion. And will she be taking on a familiar face or one of the newcomers? Let's find out. And she will be taking on Trish Adora. Now, somebody that she's probably wrestled quite a few times now at this point. And that leaves the final match to be Kenzie Page, who'll be making her debut for the company. And she'll be taking on either Alex Gracia or Thunder Rosa. And whoever's left on the wheel will be taking on Killer Kelly. So will we see a match between the two former women's tag team champions in Thunder Rosa and Killer Kelly? Or will we see a rematch of the first ever Champion of Champions match between Alex Gracia and Killer Kelly? Let's find out. But first we need to find out who will be taking on Kenzie Page. And it will be Alex Gracia versus Page. And yeah, that leaves then Thunder Rosa versus Killer Kelly for the Strong Style Women's Championship in the first round. So let's book 4 of these matches on tonight's card and go from there. Okay, so the card is set then, and tonight we're going to be opening up with a dark match. That will be a tag team match as Gran Dorado and Epidemius Jr., who will be returning to the promotion, will take on Lavaniel and LJ Cleary. This as we continue to try and build up Lavaniel and make him seen in the area. We then go into 4 Strong Style Roulette matches as Masha Slamovich takes on Nicole Matthews to open the show in a technical masterclass. Current TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champion Kenzie Page will take on former Reality of Wrestling Women's Champion Alex Gracia before we go into a vignette for the debuting Turbo Floyd. Miyu Yamashita will then take on Kylie Alexa before our main event will see former Strong Style Women's Champion Miranda Elise take on reigning TNA Knockouts Champion Erica Lee. And then we'll see the 4 remaining matches of the first round in the next show. So let's get into it then and see how we get on. And we open up then with that dark match, which got a 62, so not too bad, as Lavaniel and LJ Cleary have defeated Gran Dorado and Epidemius Jr. in 9 minutes 53 when Lavaniel pinned Epidemius Jr. illegally using the ropes for leverage. So Epidemius makes his return to the Strong Style ring, but is unfortunately on the losing side of the fall tonight, although slightly protected by the use of the ropes. And he did get a 43, and he was the worst in the match, so we kind of justified his loss tonight. Lavaniel, though, got a 51, Gran Dorado got a 58, and LJ Cleary got a 67, as Epidemius Jr.'s Thrill Seeker gimmick got a very good. And yeah, decent match then with a 62 overall as we move into the first round match between Masha Slamovich and Nicole Matthews in the Strong Style Roulette, as Masha Slamovich on her debut for the company has defeated veteran Nicole Matthews in 14 minutes 37 by pinfall with a diving headbutt. And this was after a distraction from Charlotte Renegade and Robin Renegade. And yeah, overall 66 for this one, and Masha got a 66 for individual performance, and Nicole Matthews got a 57, so we picked the right winner tonight, as Slamovich's Russian Dynamite gimmick got an adequate, so not too bad, and the Don't Cuddle Demons storyline has advanced with this segment and gained heat. And it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow night, as Janai Kai of the Dojo Demons will be in action, of course, against Trish Adora also in the first round. So will Nicole Matthews and potentially Hyan be seeking some revenge then? We'll find out. And we also got a boost there from Masha Slamovich, who has a hot new move as well, which is good to see. And yeah, a good match to start the tournament. And then we go into our next match as Kenzie Page has defeated Alex Gracia in 14 minutes 01 in a match rated 58, which is solid. And Kenzie Page is the best performer of the match. So once again, we've picked the right winner with a 59, and Alex Gracia got a 46. And Kenzie Page's punk gimmick got great, and Alex Gracia's prima donna gimmick got a very good. And yeah, we got a boost from the color commentary as well, as a 58 overall gives us a solid match rating. And next up then, we go into that promo for Turbo Floyd, and VHS style footage is shown of a jacked up Turbo Floyd running along Miami Beach to 80s music. He is then shown lifting weights and doing squats as he prepares for his Strong Style America's debut. He says this isn't his first time in the Mid-South territory, and it's going to be great to finally come back to the Lone Star State. He looks forward to seeing some familiar faces from his past before declaring that if you haven't seen Turbo Floyd, you haven't seen nothing yet. And then the scene ends with Floyd flexing his 24-inch pythons as he hisses into the camera. And yeah, this classic outrunner stuff, but this time a solo vignette instead of a tag team, and overall got a 42, so decent performance there from Floyd as he debuts his 80s horrific gimmick, which got a great. So yeah, good start to his strong style career, I think, and we're going to see him return to the Mid-South territory very, very soon. And next up then, we go to another match in the strong style roulette, this time as Miyu Yamashita has defeated Kylie Alexa in 13 minutes 07 by pinfall with a crash rabbit heat. And overall a 69 rating, which is nice, with Yamashita scoring a 72 individual rating, which is pretty solid, and I think the performance of the night, and Alexa got a 45. So a decent performance from her as well, and her princess gimmick got a very good. And now let's find out if we've made the right choice for the main event as we go into Erica Lee versus Miranda Elise. And actually, it only got a 65, but still not too far off our highest rating tonight, as Miranda Elise has defeated the TNA Knockouts champion. Revenge for Mike DiVecchio, as she picks up that win by submission with a Miranda's rights after interference from AJ Mendez. So again, AJ Mendez is looking for the perfect client, and she's found a lost Miranda Elise after the recent breakup of the Veil. And yeah, there was no bad chemistry at least, so we're probably going to continue to have AJ by her side at least for now. And it seems to have helped because there is a green there for some good work at ringside. But Miranda Elise did only get a 59, which I think is a slight underperformance from her, as Erica Lee gets a 52, and her Gummy Bear Kid gimmick got an adequate, which is okay. And yeah, 65 overall then, as we close off the show, and we're sort of looking at a 60 rating tonight, hopefully a little bit higher, as we get a 65. So I'll take that, and we increased our popularity in 23 regions, and it looks like we're going to have to be sort of up towards the 70s to increase in the Mid-South because we didn't get 24 regions there. But I think as long as we're growing in the Southeast and Southwest with these smaller shows, I guess that's okay. But I think generally we should probably be looking for a higher rating, but we were limited as to what wrestlers we could use tonight through the first round of the Strong Style Roulette. But once it opens up a little bit more and we can bring in whoever we want into the card, then I think we'll start to see some better ratings. But hopefully tomorrow night can at least get higher than a 65. And let's look at the financial report then, and it's not actually letting me address the locker room, I'm guessing because it's a lesser show, but we did make a profit of $21,000 tonight, which is pretty solid for a lesser show, and a gate of $30,600 and broadcast revenue of nearly $2,000 with merchandise just under $6,000 as well. And yeah, a solid performance financially, and we've definitely made the money back that we lost, or propaganda at least. And as for popularity then, it'll be interesting to see how much of an increase we got through a lesser show. And we didn't go up in the majority of regions, but we did go up from 12 to 13 in both the Great Lakes and Mid-Atlantic. So yeah, as I say, I think we're going to have to try and get some higher ratings going forward for these lesser shows. But in any case, progress is progress. So let's go forward. And before we get into the show, we do have news of Nicole Matthews' contract that's coming to an end, and we're probably going to renew that one as a permanent contract, but we'll do that a little bit later on in the episode, potentially in the next episode, because I want to get straight into tonight's show. And as for attendance then, we're looking at about the same as night one, so we're going to be running emos once again. And for broadcasters, of course, we're going to be using all 5 at this point. And let's spend some creative energy as well while we're here. So let's grab some creative finishes that we can hopefully use tonight. And we've got 2 there that are near certainties. And this one's likely to succeed for Miranda Elise, so that could potentially be used in the next round, depending on who she draws against, of course, and depending on the result. And we're also going to grab a character idea as well, and this one's a near certainty for anybody. So we'll try and probably give somebody a boost of morale with that one. And next up then, we've got some locker room incidents, as Grace McKing wants to hang out backstage. She's got an agitator personality type, so I think we might say no to that one. Chris Crash also wants to come backstage, and he's a sleazy personality type, so again we're going to say no. And we do have Thunder Rosa passing on tips on microphone work to protege Janai Kai. We've got her giving tips of psychology to Charlotte Renegade and Robin Renegade as well. And Dave Prazak organised a poker tournament and gave the locker room a boost there. Nixon Newell was in a delightful mood and brought some great positive vibes to the locker room, so that's great to see and could be an excuse to keep her around. And then we've got Emi Sakura training Kylie Alexa and Epidemius Jr. But let's continue on then as we address the locker room, and we're gonna maybe pull a rib and try and bring some good morale to the locker room, and we're gonna do it on somebody that won't be around forever. So why don't we rib one of the people on a touring contract? So I'm thinking maybe Xena. And she is currently happy, so it's not a massive risk of her being extremely unhappy after this. So let's go through with that one. And the rib went down well with the rest of the locker room, and there was no response from Xena, so I'm assuming it went okay. And let's now apply that creative idea to somebody, and let's check out who's unhappy in the locker room. And we only have two, actually, Emi Sakura and Tyler Bate. I guess the only option is to give it to Tyler Bate then. And let's see how it goes. And it was a success, and he's now white hot, but likely not as annoyed as he was before. But with that said, let's book in the matches, as we hope to get around that sort of 70 rating for tonight. And we should definitely do it with the likes of Killer Kelly, Mayu Iwatani, and Jordan Grace set to be on the card tonight. So let's book the show. And let's run down the card then for tonight's show, as we're going to open up with a dark match as Yuma Aoyagi takes on Adam Priest in singles action as the heavyweight division takes on the junior heavyweight division. We then open up with the Strong Style Women's Championship match between Killer Kelly and Thunder Rosa, as we find out who will be advancing through to the next round as champion. And this is basically because we needed to end the show with a steal the show match, and apparently Thunder Rosa doesn't have the stamina for that anymore, so we put her in the opener in what is now a regular match. And then we go into Janai Kai versus Trish Adora before Jordan Grace takes on the debuting and unfortunate Xena, before the main event of the show will see Mayu Iwatani take on the debuting Nixon Newell. And then we have some post-match scenes to end the show, at which point our quarterfinals will be set. So let's get into the show then and see how it plays out. And we open up with a solid dark match with a 60 rating, as Yuma Aoyagi has defeated Adam Priest by pinfall in 14 minutes 41 in our technical masterclass of the night. And Yuma there with a 61 and Adam Priest with a 48, as the heavyweight has defeated the junior heavyweight here tonight. And to open the show then, we get a 73 overall, as Killer Kelly has defeated Thunder Rosa in 15 minutes 25 by submission, making defense number 3 of the Strong Style Women's Championship. And yeah, a predictable result tonight, as Killer Kelly retains. And not only that, but she put on a 74 performance, which I think is the best individual rating of the tournament so far. And Thunder Rosa is starting to fall off a little bit now with a 53 there. Although they did have great chemistry, which definitely helped the rating. And as I say, 73 to open up the broadcast. And now there's pressure on the main event to live up to this, as Mayu Iwatani takes on Nixon Newell later on tonight. But with that said, let's hope this theme can continue throughout the show as we go into the next match, as Trish Adora has managed to defeat Janai Kai in 9 minutes 40 by pinfall with a roll-up. And during the match, we saw an appearance from Nicole Matthews and Hyan as well, with the Strong Style Tag Team Champions, getting some revenge on the Dojo Demons for the Renegade Twins' interference in Nicole Matthews' first round match. So yeah, we've just advanced the tag team storyline here with some basic back and forth booking. But overall though, Janai Kai got a 59 and Trish Adora got a 60, which gives us a rating of 62 for this one, so not too bad at all. As we go into the next match then, where Jordan Grace takes on Xena, and as predicted, Jordan Grace has got the win in 10 minutes 42 by pinfall with a fall from Grace. And we got a 69 overall, which is nice. And Jordan Grace got an individual performance of 69 as well, which is also nice. And Xena got a 51 in her debut, so not too bad from her. And her touch from Thunder gimmick got an adequate, so could be worse, could be better. And we got a boost for colour commentary as well. But nonetheless, a solid match, which should help us get up towards that 70 overall show rating. But it will come down to how this main event goes. So let's find out how we do in our final first round match of the Strong Style Roulette. And overall, we've topped the best match of the night so far with a 74 rating. So the match order was probably just about right tonight, starting with a banger and ending with a banger as Mayu Iwatani has defeated Nixon Newell in 15 minutes 55 with a diving double foot stomp. And yeah, this match was designed to steal the show, and it's done just that, with Mayu Iwatani pulling out a 76 overall and the strongest performance of the tournament so far. And Nixon Newell there with a 47 overall. And Nixon Newell has debuted her Girl Next Door gimmick and got a great, so good start for her strong style career. And with her boosts to the backstage environment as well, maybe she could be one to stick around, but we'll see how it goes going forward. And with that said though, we do have some post-match scenes, so let's find out what's going down after the show. As after the match, Jordynne Grace storms to the ring, reminiscent of last month's attack on Mayu Iwatani and Killer Kelly. Grace grabs Mayu and lifts her above her head for a military press slam, this before Killer Kelly starts to walk down the ramp. Grace then launches Mayu at Kelly, who manages to catch her before putting her down as the two hit the ring to take out Jordynne. After putting up a fight, Jordynne Grace decides to roll out of the ring, saving herself for the later rounds in the tournament. And then Grace picks up the Strong Style Women's Championship belt that Kelly dropped on her way down to the ring before holding it in the air and throwing it into the ring. Mayu then goes to pick the belt up before Kelly puts her foot on it as Mayu backs up with her arms up. And then she says that she was just getting the belt for her as the two then face off. And yeah, as we continue on into the tournament, we're continuing to push the narrative that Jordynne Grace, Killer Kelly and Mayu Iwatani are the favourites for the tournament, as we also continue the Who Can Stop the Juggernaut storyline. And it will be interesting to see how the rest of the tournament plays out, with the draw being random. So will they face each other before the final, or will we see Jordynne Grace, Killer Kelly or Mayu Iwatani go one-on-one in the final? We'll see how it plays out going forward. But overall, we've killed it there with a 77 rating for this segment to close out the show, which should definitely help us improve in all regions of the United States, but let's find out as we do, with us improving in 24 regions there with a 74 overall, so not too bad for a quote-unquote lesser show. And we also sold out emos tonight, which is definitely an improvement on the last lesser show that we had. And this time let's check out the finances, as we've made just around the same amount of money at that roughly $20,000 mark, so as we're once again over the $100,000 mark in the bank. And let's go to popularity recap then, as we've gone up in the Mid-South to 54 and 9 in New England. And so far through 3 shows this month, we've gone up twice in the Mid-South. And hopefully there's more room to grow with us having one lesser show left. And then of course the main show of the Strong Style Roulette. So maybe we can get up to 55 or 56 in the Mid-South before the episode is over. And of course for the next size, we do need to get to 59. So I don't think we're going to get there in this episode, but we're going to be pretty damn close, and we could potentially position ourselves to do it in the next episode, but we'll see. And the next show will go down next Tuesday in just 5 days time. And in terms of availability, for the final night, the only person that we're going to be missing that's in the tournament is Erica Lee, so that's not the end of the world since she's already out of the tournament. Okay, so we are on the day of the show, but we do have some emails before we get into it. And Myung Jae Lee has risen to 188 pounds after bulking up his muscle mass, so that will help his star quality. And actually, let's find out how much of a boost he got from it. So if we go to track progress and physical abilities and performance skills, he's gone up to 66, as you can see there, from 60 earlier this month. And as for Michael Dante, the same will have happened for him. So he's now on 60 star quality and was on 56 not too long ago. So a pretty good jump for him as well. And that's all for weight gains. But we do have news of a merchandise upgrade, which has finally gone through. And we're now at professional level after investing recently. So we should see a big boost in merchandise in the coming months then. And it's probably worth as well starting the next upgrade while we're here. And it's going to cost us for Rapid $1,000 per week. So it'll be about $4,000 per month for 2% progress. So it'll probably take about a year. Or we can make it take 2 years at $400 per week. Or conservative, we can go to $175 per week for 0.5% progress, which will take about 4 years. So I'm not too keen on that idea. So I think I'm just going to go Rapid again. And let's just keep pumping money into this merchandise department, as it seems to be paying off so far. And I think it's one of the most important things you can do for a local to global, definitely on reflection. And let's have a read of what our current level level actually entails then. So at this level, your merchandise operation employs professional full-time staff and offers a quality service in both the live event and mail order sides of the business. You monetize your old events by selling them on DVD and video on demand. You produce worker-specific merchandise for your major stars, and well-known workers, but are limited to selling it in your home area. Okay, so I think that's one of the reasons why we should keep on pushing on. And I want to just quickly check how much it's going to cost to make another upgrade to our broadcaster. So if we go to investments and upgrade owned broadcast, it's going to cost over $1 million to upgrade any further in the United States. So I think we're going to hold off on that one for now. And we can actually afford to upgrade anywhere else in the world. It's going to cost $80,000 in Canada, but I think I would lean towards Mexico first because we are quite high there already through spillover from Texas across the border. And in order to reach the next size, we need popularity in another country. Do we upgrade it now or should we wait a little bit? Yeah, I think we'll actually just wait for a little bit because I don't want to lose even more money this month. And we'll sort of evaluate the situation in the next episode. Or maybe we try and build up some more funds first before we spend any more money. But for now, let's get into the final night of the Road to Strong Style Roulette shows before we go into the main show tomorrow night. So let's get into it. And again, we won't be giving anybody the night off tonight. And for venue, we're going to once again run emos. And for broadcasters, we're going to use all of them, of course. And for booking team meeting then, we may as well spend some creative energy. And we'll grab some more creative finishes as we try and build some up ready for that final show of the month. And we'll also grab a character idea. And this one's a safe bet for Viana Free Jr. So I guess we'll use that. And we'll also grab an angle idea. And this one's a big gamble. So we'll probably get rid of that one. And why not get one more creative finish? And this one's a safe bet for anybody. So we've got plenty of creative finishes in our pocket ready for the latter rounds of the tournament. Now let's go on to locker room incidents then, where Exodus Prime wants to hang out backstage and he's a lively personality type. Actually, he wants to be used tonight, so we're going to say no. There's no spots, unfortunately. And Malcolm Monroe III has turned up and requested to be allowed to hang out backstage, and he is a relaxed personality type, so we'll let him in. And several people have remarked that Nicole Matthews has been hanging around with Kylie Alexa, apparently. Aubrey Edwards tried to bring CM Punk in for some backstage team building, but only succeeded in annoying him. And yeah, I think we might have to take this morale officer thing off because she seems to be upsetting everybody. And it's happened again with Adam Priest after they got into a heated argument. Actually, this wasn't related to morale officer from what I can see, but nonetheless, it's a negative for Aubrey. And AJ Mendez brightened the mood with some cartoon drawings. Kenzie Page and Masha Slamovich were getting on backstage, which is good to see. Emi Sakura was training Kylie Alexa and Epidemus Jr. once again, and that's all for incidents. As for addressing the locker room then, I think we're actually going to do nothing tonight, as I don't want to reuse any of the recent ones that we did. I don't want to do team bonding, because it'll probably make things worse. We don't want to fire anyone, we don't want to do an intervention. There's no need to meddle right now, so we're just going to leave it and go from there. And what I also want to do, while we remember, is remove Aubrey Edwards from Morale Officer. It's going to annoy her, hopefully not too much though, as she is on an exclusive contract and she's going to be around for the long terms. So let's remove her for now, and let's find out if she's currently unhappy about it. And she is annoyed, apparently. She's annoyed about a poor gimmick as well, but yeah, I don't know why a referee's got a gimmick, but nonetheless, we'll try and please her going forward. What I might actually do is give her a small bonus. So we're going to give her $2,000 and maybe she can get back into the green. And no, she's still annoyed. So yeah, we'll work on Aubrey. But with that said, let's get to the wheel. Right, so there are 7 names on the wheel. Once again, we're missing Killer Kelly, who is the champion, and she'll face whoever's left on the wheel at the end. And there's a good mix of fresh talent and talent that have been around for a long time. So let's find out who will be facing each other in this quarterfinal then. And the first name out of the hat is Mayu Iwatani, and she won't be getting her hands on Killer Kelly just yet after recently having her hands on the belt. And this time she will be taking on the person who made her debut against Mayu Iwatani, that being Miyu Yamashita. So we're going to see a rematch there between the two Joshi legends at this point. And that was very much a dream match that we built up to earlier on in the save. And next up, we've got Kenzie Page, it looks like, with the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champion entering the quarter-final to take on somebody that's on this wheel right now. So let's find out who. And will it be? It is Jordynne Grace. I was going to say, will it be somebody that she's going to struggle against? And I don't see a way that she's going to defeat Jordynne Grace, unfortunately. And Jordynne Grace is somebody that's also on the TNA roster here. So it will be a clash of two TNA names in a Strong Style America's ring. And that leaves us then with former Strong Style Women's Champion Miranda Elise, Masha Slamovich, and Trish Adora, with Trish and Slamovich looking to win their first ever Strong Style Women's Championship. And first out of the hat then, and somebody that won't get a chance to win back their belt, is Miranda Elise, and she'll be taking on either Masha Slamovich or Trish Adora. So let's find out who. And it looks like it's going to be Masha Slamovich, which means we're going to see Killer Kelly versus Trish Adora as well. So an interesting quarterfinals, and Mayu Iwatani and Jordynne Grace have yet to draw the champion, as the three favourites for this tournament have been kept apart for another round. And we're going to open up the show then with a dark match between Turbo Floyd, who will be wrestling his first match for the company, and he'll be taking on Stephen Wolf. And this will then take us to our first Strong Style Roulette match of the night, as Mayu Iwatani will take on Miyu Yamashita in what will be a technical masterclass to kick off the show. Former TNA Knockouts champion Masha Slamovich will then take on former Strong Style Women's Champion Miranda Elise, before we then go into a promo from Tyler Bate. This followed by Jordynne Grace versus Kenzie Page, before the main event will see the Strong Style Women's Championship on the line, as Killer Kelly defends against Trish Adora in this quarterfinal championship match. And then, of course, we've got some post-match scenes as well. Let's run the quarterfinals and find out who will be potentially doing double duty next time around. And to kick things off then, we start with a 48 match between Turbo Floyd and Stephen Wolf, so not too bad, with Turbo Floyd picking up the win by pinfall in 9 minutes 32. And a decent performance there from Turbo with a 45, and Stephen Wolf actually outperforming him with a 46. And yeah, a decent dark match as we try and see how Turbo Floyd does in the ring. And he's done okay, but he hasn't exactly blown us away. But nonetheless, he will likely wrestle again tomorrow on the 2-hour show. And next up, we start the broadcast then with a 77 rating, as Mayu Iwatani has advanced through to tomorrow night's semi-finals after defeating Miyu Yamashita in 16 minutes 30 by submission. And the deserved winner tonight, as Mayu Iwatani had a 73 for this one. And as I say, overall we get a 77, which is just about on par with their first match, which they had when Miyu debuted, with Mayu now 2-0 over her Joshi rival. And then this takes us into another 70 plus match, as we get a 71 this time around, as somewhat surprisingly, Masha Slamovich has defeated former Strong Style Women's Champion Miranda Elise in 12 minutes 52 after a diving headbutt, this following a botched interference from AJ Mendez. So AJ was once again in Miranda Elise's corner, and I think I'm going to use this as a way to sort of separate the pair, and AJ is still looking for a new client. She's tried out her chemistry with Miranda Elise and she's not feeling it, and tonight that lack of chemistry has shown with a botched interference. And not only is Miranda Elise no longer going to be managed by AJ Mendez, but she's also out of the Strong Style Roulette. And that's benefited Masha Slamovich, who managed to pull off a 70 rating tonight. So again, it looks like we've picked the right winner, and the semi-finals is going to be pretty stacked, with Miranda Elise only getting a 64, which is decent in itself, but again, we've picked the right winner there. And AJ Mendez did some good work at ringside. Masha Slamovich benefited from a hot new move as well, which definitely helped. And again, 71 overall is a solid match. Let's hope that can continue throughout the night. And as for promos though, we haven't done quite as well as the matches, but Tyler Bate makes his way to the ring, and he says that tomorrow night all will become clear, as after stewing over his thoughts in recent weeks, he finally wants to go face to face with one man. He then says that true hate will take over him on his path to revenge, and before he reaches the top of Strong Style Americas, he has somebody he needs to speak to. So we'll find out who that is tomorrow night, again on the final show of the Strong Style Roulette Tour. As for the storyline, the True Hate storyline has automatically advanced with this segment, and overall a 41, as I say, isn't great. But our promos are never as good as our matches anyway. But let's hope that we can go into the rest of tonight's quarterfinals with 70 plus ratings. And let's find out first how the third one of the night gets on. And we continue the theme of 70 plus then with a 72. This time with Jordynne Grace defeating Kenzie Page in 9 minutes 37 by pinfall with a fall from Grace. And once again, we've picked the right winner with Jordynne Grace here getting a 70, whilst Kenzie Page got an in-ring performance of 61. And yeah, solid match there as Jordynne Grace, still the favourite for the tournament, has defeated Kenzie Page and advances through to tomorrow night. And yeah, overall a 72 match rating as the wrestling action continues to impress tonight. And now it's down to Killer Kelly and Trish Adora to keep up the standards with the title on the line in tonight's main event. So let's see how they get on then as they pull off an 80. So the best match of the night was saved till the end then, and the Women's Championship was on the line, of course. And the Women's Champion Killer Kelly has defeated Trish Adora in 17 minutes 27 by pinfall with a curb stomp. And this is defense number 4 of her title reign, and of course the second of the tournament. Again, we've picked the best winner as Killer Kelly got an in-ring performance of 73 compared to Trish Adora's 57, and the creative finish that we used was a success, which definitely helped. And of course the prestige of the title being on the line probably helped as well. And yeah, both ladies have killed it tonight with an 80 to cap off tonight's action with one of our best matches. I would say top 10, maybe top 20, and certainly the best of the tournament so far. And we can expect even higher ratings tomorrow night, hopefully, as we'll use some more creative finishes, and we've got all of the best competitors from the tournament competing. So let's see what this post-match scene is then, as after the bell, Mayu Iwatani gets into the ring and applauds Killer Kelly before Masha Slamovich makes her way to the top of the ramp. Jordynne Grace then walks out as the two stare at each other at the top of the ramp, and the scene is set for the final night of this year's Strong Style Roulette as the 4 semi-finalists lock eyes. So we've got the baby faces in the ring and the heels on top of the ramp, and it's all going to come to a head tomorrow night. And the 66 overall, so it's the best segment of the night, bar the matches, and the Who Can Stop the Juggernaut storyline has advanced with this segment, but did lose heat, unfortunately. And it'll be interesting to see what the wheel throws up for us tomorrow night as to who's going to get the first championship match of the night, and ultimately who will end up in the final. Stick around for that. But let's find out how we did overall then, as we increased in 24 regions with a 77 overall rating, which is the best rating of the episode so far, and hopefully we can top that tomorrow night, as I expect to do. And let's continue then as we look at the financial report, and once again we've made about $20,000 on the night, which is solid, and that gives us roughly a profit of 50,000 from the 4 shows so far this month, plus we're going to probably make even more tomorrow night with the final show of the tour. And yeah, I think financially it's the right call to run more shows within 1 month, and we will find out tomorrow whether our attendance will be affected for our main show of the month, and whether it'll be worth kind of keeping this schedule or whether we have to reduce those lesser shows to tour shows. But we will review that as the episode goes on. But for now, it seems to be taken over quite nicely financially, and maybe that's the play, is to just make money and invest in broadcast rather than worrying about the gate too much on the night. But we'll see how it goes. But as I say, we made a nice $20,000 for every tour show so far. And overall then, for popularity, we increased in Puerto Rico and Hawaii, going up to 9 there, and everywhere else remained the same. And with that said, I don't think we've got anything else that we need to do before the show tonight, which will be the final night of the Strong Style Roulette Tour, so we may as well get straight into it and see how our attendance is looking as well. So we are on the arena selection screen, and you can see here that we are expecting 2,699 fans in the building, which is down from the sort of 5,000 that we had for our last big show. So it looks like our schedule is slightly reducing our attendance, obviously with us having more shows, and the game sort of emulates the fact that not everyone's going to be able to attend them. But I think we might just continue with this format anyway, maybe for at least a couple more months, because we're making quite a nice chunk of money despite having to sort of drop back down to some of the smaller venues that we used to run. And speaking of venues that we used to run, let's go to the Esports Stadium in Arlington this time. where we have held shows before, and it's got a capacity of 2,500. So we will miss out on around 200 tickets on the night, but I think a sold out crowd might give a slight boost to sort of the atmosphere in the building. So yeah, I think we're going to go with that and go back to one of our former homes. And as for broadcasters, we're obviously going to use them all. And for booking team meeting then, we do have quite a lot of creative finishes already that we still need to use, and we're going to obviously use them tonight. So I don't think we necessarily need a bunch. We might grab one more while we're here, and we've got one that's a safe bet for Pack. And we'll also grab a character idea as well to potentially give a boost for morale, and this one's a bit of a gamble for Kevin Blackwood, so I think we're going to leave that. And let's also grab, why not, one more creative finish and see what we get. So we'll get a near certainty for anyone, so we'll keep that one for sure. That's all for creative energy then. And for locker room incidents, Josh Cody has turned up and requested to hang around backstage. Here he is, the legend. And of course, you can come backstage. So a blast from the past there, hanging out with us backstage. And Philly Collins also wants to hang out backstage, somebody that we also know. And let's just double check his personality type. So it's a stalwart, and he just gets on with his job without making a fuss. So yeah, we'll let him in as well. Why not? And Emi Sakura's trained with Kylie Alexa and Epidemius Jr. once again. Nixon Newell helped create a fun and relaxed atmosphere once again after finding a discarded karaoke machine and starting an impromptu pre-show competition. So that's good to see, and that's all for incidents. And as for addressing the locker room, we can't inspire, which I was hoping to do. And I think I do want to do something tonight. I know that we skipped over it last time around. Maybe we go team bonding. I know it can kind of backfire and make things worse, but it can also make things better as well. So I think we're just going to go with that. And mostly things have been strengthened, and there are a few tensions that have been worsened. But nonetheless, let's continue then. And again, let's go to the wheel. And we have Masha Slamovich, Jordan Grace, and Mayu Iwatani on the wheel, of course, with Killer Kelly facing whoever's the last one left on the wheel. So we may as well spin now and find out who will be entering the non-title match for tonight. And it looks like it's going to be Masha Slamovich, so it will be either Jordan Grace or Mayu Iwatani taking on the champion tonight. So let's find out who it will be and who it won't be, more importantly. So it looks like it's going to be Mayu Iwatani versus Masha Slamovich, which leaves Jordan Grace versus Killer Kelly, the favourite versus the champion. And can Killer Kelly be the one to stop the Juggernaut in that storyline, or will the Juggernaut leave tonight as the women's champion? Or can Jordan Grace defeat Killer Kelly, and then could it be Masha Slamovich or Mayu Iwatani be the one to defeat her? We'll find out. Right, so let's break it down then, as we're going to open up with a dark match, which will be a triple threat tag team match, as Pretty Empowered, which is Kylie Alexa and Kenzie Page, of course the two sisters, taking on Alex Gracia and Xena, as well as Nixon Newell and Trish Adora. So what we're doing here is just testing out some potential future tag teams for the women's tag team division, and maybe we can find some chemistry here, whilst also giving some of the touring talent for this tour one last chance to impress. And then we're going to go into the main show and start off with a technical masterclass between Masha Slamovich and Mayu Iwatani, which we'll then have some post-match scenes for, before we go into Killer Kelly versus Jordan Grace for the women's championship. And of course, the two winners of those two matches will fight in the final in the main event with the title on the line. Then we're going to see Turbo Floyd one more time as he takes on Yuma Ayagi, before Tyler Bate then does that call out that we saw earlier on, before we go into a number one contendership for the Junior Heavyweight Championship match between Shun Skywalker and Xulua. So of course we've got the chemistry between those two, and whilst Xulua is here tonight, we may as well use him to good use and put him against Shun Skywalker in what could be the match of the night, and it probably should be the main event based on ratings if it wasn't for the strong style roulette, of course. We're then going to a three-way match between Alex Kane, Matt Riddle and Ryan Davidson, with the latter two feuding recently, and that will see the heavyweight championship on the line as well, before the junior heavyweight championship is up for grabs as Kevin Blackwood defends against Pac, of course, who is a former champion in his own right. And of course, Pak hasn't had a one-on-one rematch for the title since losing it at Strong Style 50 in the ladder match. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And then of course we've got that main event, which is currently question mark versus question mark. And we'll see who makes it there in just a second. And we do have a booking analysis note that one of the people on the card is unhappy to lose. And we'll break down who that is once we get there. We've given that person a $2,500 bonus to hopefully not upset them. So let's go through with it and find out how we get on in tonight's major card that could be one of the standout cards of the series so far. And we open up then with that three-way tag team match as we seek some chemistry, and it doesn't look like we've found any, but we haven't found any bad either, so that's okay. But the match sees Nixon Newell and Trish Adora get the win here after Trish pinned Alex Gracia with a lariat Tubman, and basically we've just given the win to one of the regulars on the roster, and we've had Alex Gracia, who I think is probably the most unlikely to return of the lot, the loss there tonight. And overall in terms of performances then, Kenzie Page was actually the standout of the night, having a 64 rating overall, followed by Trish Adora with a 60 and Nixon Newell with a 54. And then we get into the 40s with Xena getting a 48, which isn't too bad. 46 for Kylie Alexa and Alex Gracia there with a 44. So it looks like we picked the right person to take the fall at least. And Xena is getting better at her gimmick, and we've got some other greens there as well as we start off with a 60 rated match. And then we go into the first semi-final of the night as Mayu Iwatani has defeated Masha Slamovich in 14 minutes 55 by pinfall with a quick cradle. So she's managed to grab the victory there at the end, catching Slamovich off guard, and yeah, Mayu goes through to tonight's main event. And overall, this got a 77, so a very good start to the broadcast. And Masha Slamovich got a 67, and Mayu Iwatani got a 78. So we've picked the right winner there in terms of rating, and hopefully Mayu can carry us to a good rating for tonight's main event. And it will depend, though, on how both finalists are feeling after already working once tonight. So let's go forward then and see who will be joining Mayu in the final as champion. But actually, before we get there, after the match, Masha Slamovich snaps and pulls Mayu down from the second rope, interrupting her celebrations. This before dragging her out of the ring by her hair. She wraps Iwatani's legs around the ring post and begins a vicious attack on her knees as Mayu screams in agony. Miyu Yamashita then runs down to her aid as security pull Masha away from the ringside area as Miyu ushers medical staff over to help. So the challenger in tonight's main event has taken a beating here and is definitely looking like the underdog, not only having worked a match but having had her knees taken out after her first match. And overall though, a 65 segment, which is a solid rating, with Masha Slamovich also getting better at her gimmick. And with her performances in the Strong Style Roulette, I wouldn't be surprised to see her show up at some point in the future. But for now, she says goodbye to the company after taking out Mayu Iwatani. And next up then we go into the second semi-final of the night as Jordynne Grace takes on Killer Kelly for the Strong Style Women's Championship and a spot in the Strong Style Roulette final. And in this one, Jordynne Grace has defeated Killer Kelly in 16 minutes 37 by stoppage when Killer Kelly was injured and could not continue. And this means Jordynne Grace not only enters the final, but does so as the Strong Style Women's Champion. And yeah, 65 here for Killer Kelly. Jordynne Grace bringing the reign of Killer Kelly to an end with a 73 rating. So once again, we've picked the right winner here, and we've got a hell of a main event on our hands later tonight. And the Who Can Stop the Juggernaut storyline has advanced with this segment, and the answer so far is not Killer Kelly. And 78 overall rating as the new champion heads into the main event as the now even bigger favourite to win the tournament after the attack on Iwatani. And I just want to go back to the booking screen quickly and take a look at that booking analysis once again, because it had a warning that the champion wasn't in the main event, which is for the title, of course, and that was because Jordynne Grace was about to win a semi-final and advance through. But yeah, it looks like the game has now recognised that she's now champion, so there shouldn't be any issues there. With that said, let's carry on with the show then and see how the rest of the night plays out as we go into Turbo Floyd versus Yuma Ayagi. And in this one, Yuma has picked up the win over Turbo Floyd in 13 minutes 49 by pinfall. And yeah, just a win here for Yuma Ayagi over the newcomer in the promotion, and a 55 overall, so not too bad. but the on-screen debut of Turbo Floyd hasn't gone to plan for him, as the Japanese megastar has managed to defeat him. And Turbo Floyd got a 36 and Yuma Ayagi got a 53. So decent performance from Yuma, not so much from Turbo, and maybe we won't be seeing him around after this tour, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we'll see him on Propaganda, but we'll see. But the creative finish that we used was a success, and this is the first creative finish of the night, and every match from now on has a creative finish. Although the chemistry between the two apparently didn't help the match, as we get a 55 overall, so not great, but hopefully some of the other matches can bring the average up. And let's go forward then, as we go into a promo where Tyler Bate makes his way to the ring with a microphone in hand as he prepares to issue the call out that he teased last night. And Bate says that he's here to speak to one man, and that's Villano Jr. Villano makes his way to the ring with a delighted look on his face, happy that Tyler has finally embraced him publicly. Villano then snatches the microphone from Tyler's hand and says that he always had faith that he would come around and embrace his true inner villain. And with Villano's love and guidance, he can carry Bate to the very top of this business. He will make Tyler a major star in Mexico, the United States, and beyond, just like him. And then Tyler looks around and puts his hand out as the two lock hands, and Tyler then says that it's time to show everybody what true hate really is. And yeah, we finally got an embrace between Tyler and Villano after Villano and Tyler Bate were seemingly working together during Bate's time in Hate, and the two seem to be aligned from here on out. And we'll find out what true hate means going forward, but for now, the angle idea was a success, and we get a 57 overall for segment rating. And then we go into that number one contendership match between Shun Skywalker and Exulua, and it's, of course, Shun Skywalker that picked up the victory tonight, defeating Exulua in 15 minutes 03 by pinfall with a handful of tights, of course, and the heel using heel tactics to get his shot at the Junior Heavyweight Championship that Kevin Blackwood currently holds and maybe Pac will be holding by the end of tonight. And Shun Skywalker here had an in-ring performance of 85, followed by Exulua's 72. So Shun Skywalker, I think, the standout of the night so far, and this match was definitely the standout of the night with an 88. Now, I did say it's probably going to be match of the night, and the main event has a job on its hands topping this one. And the Shun Skywalker creative finish was a success, which definitely helped as well, and Shun Skywalker and Exulua have great chemistry, as we discussed earlier. So a hell of a match between these two, and I think this rivalry will be one that we see for years to come in the promotion. But unfortunately, we can't really commit to it being a storyline right now, because Exulua works for CMLL most of the time, and we can't predict when he's going to be available. But in the long term, we'll try and lock him down to a contract, and that's the hope anyway. With that said, though, let's move on to the Heavyweight Championship match, as Alex Kane puts his title on the line in a three-way against the rivaling pair Matt Riddle and Ryan Davidson, as Alex Kane, predictably, has defeated both men in 14 minutes 56 when Alex Kane pinned Matt Riddle with the mark of Kane, and he makes defense number 9 now of the Strong Style Heavyweight title, as the reign of Kane continues. And overall, though, we've picked the right winner once again, as Alex Kane gets a 69, which is nice. Matt Riddle gets a 66 and Ryan Davidson gets a 61. And the King of Texas storyline has advanced with this segment between Matt Riddle and Ryan Davidson, of course. And the creative finish was a success as well. And we get a 78 overall, which is solid, as we're looking at hopefully a rating within the 80 range for the whole show. And it's going to come down to the last two matches between Pac and Kevin Blackwood, as well as Mayu Iwatani and Jordan Grace. So I'm confident that we can do it. But let's find out first how the Junior Heavyweight Championship match gets on, as we pull off a 91. Okay, I was not expecting that. That is our best match ever. And it looks like we might have a title for this video, as Kevin Blackwood has defeated Pac in 14 minutes 31 by pinfall with a running knee strike. And Kevin Blackwood makes defense number 3 of the Strong Style Junior Heavyweight title, putting down in a clean fashion the former champion Pac, who I believe managed to avoid the fall at Strong Style 50. So that kind of gives him a reason to be in this match. And yeah, Kevin Blackwood is the undisputed Junior Heavyweight Championship, with nobody claiming otherwise. And overall, Kevin Blackwood got a 72, whilst Pac carried the match to that rating with an 84. and it was Pac that was unhappy with losing tonight, and he was the one that got that $2,500 bonus. And it's a good job we didn't use Keep Strong to keep him happy, because the rating wouldn't have been as high. But the creative finish that we used was a success, which definitely helped, as now the pressure is on this women's championship main event. And of course the women's strong style roulette on the line as well to outdo the junior heavyweights tonight. But let's find out how they get on, as they get a 79, which is okay in the grand scheme of things, but a little bit disappointing based on the matches so far tonight. But in any case, Jordan Grace and Mayu Iwatani go one-on-one, and it's Jordan Grace that's defeated Mayu Iwatani in just 11 minutes 41, so a quick one here, using the fall from Grace to take advantage of the injured knee to secure not only her first defense of the Strong Style Women's title, but also winning the Strong Style Roulette in the process. And Jordan Grace there with a 61, whilst Mayu Iwatani was the woman of the match by far with an 81, so 20 points ahead of the winner. But I'm sure we'll see more matches between these two going forward, as still nobody can stop the Juggernaut, and that storyline has advanced and gained heat with this segment. And Jordan Grace unfortunately was off her game for this one, but nonetheless a 78 is more than good enough for what we need. And now it's going to be interesting to see how much the mid-card matches that outperformed in the main event affect our rating. Now I think a lot of the rating is based on the main event and then an average of everything else. But we'll see how we get on then, and let's see what the rating is, as we get an 80 overall, which is okay. And had that Strong Style Junior Heavyweight title match main evented, we might have been looking towards the 90s, but even so, an 80 is more than good enough for what we need. And we increased our popularity in 17 regions, strangely, and that's 7 less than usual, and we might have to do some digging to find out why that is, but nonetheless, a hell of a show and a hell of a way to end the episode. Of course, we're going to check the finances as well after this. But for praising, we're going to go with Killer Kelly, we're going to go with Jordan Grace, and we're going to go with Mayu Iwatani, and we're going to tell them that they're awesome, see how they get on. And Killer Kelly's pleased, so she got a morale boost. Jordan Grace seemed pleased, so she didn't, and Mayu Iwatani seemed pleased as well, so she didn't. As for finances though, we once again made $20,000. Now that seems to be the magic number recently of how much money we make per show. And for popularity though, more importantly, we didn't go up in every region. I think because we've hit the cap for how much we can increase in the Tri-State, Southwest, Southeast, Northwest, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic and Great Lakes. And you can see we didn't actually go up in the majority of the other regions apart from Alberta and British Columbia. So it looks like we're just about at the cap for overall popularity growth within 1 month. Although we're not quite at the cap for Mid-South, which is still yellow, and all of the yellow ones did increase from a decimal perspective, so maybe from 54.1 to 54.4. We can't actually see that number, but that would be on the back end. But yeah, there will be some slight improvements in the yellow regions, and it looks like we're making the most of each month and how much popularity we can gain. And we're in the emails after the show then, and all of the touring contracts have now came to an end the day after the show, which is as expected, of course. And let me know in the comments if you want to see any of these names return to the promotion. But I think it was a successful tour overall, and definitely an interesting experiment at least. And whilst we did see a drop in attendance compared to our typical main show, so obviously the Strong Style Roulette 2029 drew 2,500 people, and I think it was expected about 200 more than that as well. That compared to Strong Style 53, where we drew 5,000 people. I'm kind of thinking we were just going to carry on with this format because we're making good money every night. And I think in terms of a tour, if you add up all of the shows, I think we'd probably make more money than what we would by just having a higher gate once a month. So yeah, let me know what you think anyway, and what you're thinking would probably be best business-wise. But I think in terms of popularity, I think this is going to be more beneficial as well, because you saw there that we're actually capped out on pop for quite a lot of the regions, which is exactly what we want. And we want to make as much popularity as we can. And it looks like that's what we're doing in the United States. Because as I mentioned in the last episode, I want to advance as much as possible as fast as possible in terms of in-game time, rather than stretching it over a course of years in in-game time and then having all of our major stars towards the end of their career. I want our stars right now in their prime when we're on national television, hopefully. But with that said, speaking of finances, let's go to the end of the month, to the 1st of February, where we're going to see how our finances are looking at the end of the month. And actually, let's quickly check how we're shaping up in terms of best ratings ever. And that Strong Style Roulette 2029 show is our second best rated show behind Strong Style 53. So we've got an 80 rating there, outdoing Strong Style 1592, which got a 79. And as for matches, we know that Kevin Blackwood versus Pac was the best match ever with a 91, amazingly outdoing Viano versus Blackwood all the way back in May 2028. Which got an 89. And we can also see there that Shun Skywalker versus Xulua got an 88, which is our third best match ever, outdoing the pair's last match, which is our fourth best match ever, which got an 87. We have news that MV Young and Janai Kai have split up as well. Of course, they hooked up whilst both in Strong Style Americas, and unfortunately that has came to an end, and that might mean the end for MV Young in the promotion as well, because we don't want to have that backstage heat in the locker room. But we're not here for that. We're here to see how much money we lost for this month. Of course, with the expenditure for the broadcaster, and we are now at $182,000. Now, I believe we were at around $40,000 after we bought the broadcaster earlier in the month, so we've actually made around $140,000 in profit for everything else. And yeah, that's about right, because you can see here that we spent $575,000 on the broadcaster and lost $431,000. So yeah, that works out about right. And going forward, we could probably still upgrade our own broadcaster and still make a profit. So if we're making $140,000 per month and spending $80,000 of that profit on upgrading across the world, then the future will be bright for the promotion. And soon, I think we're going to make that upgrade in Mexico. Maybe we'll do that in the next episode. But for now, I think this one's gone on long enough, so let's bring it to an end. But if you have enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below as we look to hit 400 likes to help unlock the next one. Be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss episode 33 of Strong Style Americas. And make sure you check out the Patreon, of course, as well. But until next time, peace.